In 1984, something terrifying happened in Africa. 37 people died within minutes without any visible danger. No explosions, no fire, no warning. They were simply walking along a road and suddenly they couldn't breathe. Some blamed ghosts. Others claimed it was a chemical attack. But when scientists uncovered the real cause, it sounded almost impossible to believe, because the killer was a lake. Welcome to Global Map Stories. This is the story of one of the deadliest natural phenomena on Earth, Limnic eruptions. Let's travel to Cameroon, Central Africa. In a remote region of the country lies a small volcanic lake called Lake Monoun. For decades it was known for its calm beauty. Villages surrounded it. A road passed nearby. Nothing about it seemed dangerous. But on the night of August 15, 1984, everything changed. At around 11:30 p.m., people living near the lake heard a deep thunder-like roar. At first they thought it was distant thunder, but the sky was clear, filled with stars. Some travelers near the lake noticed something strange, a thick fog hugging the ground, unusually low. No one thought much of it. They went to sleep, and all night long, that mysterious fog continued to build over the lake. The next morning, around 10:30 a.m., the wind began to blow. The fog slowly drifted from the lake toward the nearby road. Drivers, motorcyclists, and pedestrians assumed it was harmless morning mist. But the moment they entered it, something went horribly wrong. People began gasping for air. Some collapsed within seconds. Others tried to run, but made it only a few steps. Within 1 minute, people started dying. When the fog finally cleared, the road was covered in bodies, some lying beside motorcycles, some slumped inside vehicles. 37 people were dead. Police and doctors arrived quickly. There were no signs of violence, no wounds, no burns, no chemicals detected. Autopsies revealed only one cause of death: asphyxiation, suffocation. Panic spread through the region. Some villagers believed evil spirits were responsible. The Cameroonian government initially suggested a terrorist chemical attack, but neither explanation made sense. Why would terrorists target a remote rural road? And how could ghosts kill people without leaving a trace? Scientists knew the answer had to lie in nature itself. Attention turned to a massive geological structure known as the Cameroon Volcanic Line. This is a 1,600-kilometer chain of underground volcanoes stretching from the Gulf of Guinea deep into mainland Africa. Lake Monoun sits directly above this volcanic system. With help from the US Embassy, scientists brought in a volcanologist named Dr. Harold Sigurdsson. His task: uncover the truth. Dr. Sigurdsson carefully studied Lake Monoun. At first, there were no signs of volcanic activity, no sulfur smell, no tremors, no disturbed lakebed. But when water samples were taken from the bottom of the lake, something strange happened. Gas and foam erupted from the bottles, just like when you open a shaken soda. That moment changed everything. The lake's deep water was saturated with carbon dioxide gas. Autopsies confirmed it. The victims died from carbon dioxide poisoning. Carbon dioxide is heavier than air. When released, it sinks and displaces oxygen. At Lake Monoun, carbon dioxide had been slowly leaking from underground volcanic sources and dissolving into the deep lake water. Because the lake sits near the equator, its surface water stays warm all year. Warm water is lighter, cold water is heavier, so the lake never fully mixed. For centuries, carbon dioxide accumulated silently in the cold bottom layer, trapped under the warm surface like a lid on a pressure cooker. All it needed was a small disturbance. That disturbance likely happened the night before the tragedy. The thunder-like sound people heard was the beginning of a Limnic eruption. Suddenly, carbon dioxide exploded out of the lake. The gas formed a low-lying cloud that flowed downhill, invisible, odorless, deadly. Dr. Sigurdsson warned that Lake Monoun had become a natural time bomb. He published his theory in a scientific journal, but most scientists rejected it. 2 years later, in 1986, tragedy struck again, this time at Lake Nyos, just 100 kilometers north of Lake Monoun. Lake Nyos was larger and even deeper. At around 9 p.m., villagers heard a loud roar. Soon after, nearly 1 cubic kilometer of carbon dioxide gas erupted from the lake. An estimated 300,000 tons of CO2 spilled into nearby valleys. Entire villages were wiped out. 1,746 people died. 3,500 animals suffocated. Insects vanished. Even flies avoided the bodies. Only 4 people survived because they were on higher ground. Some victims remained unconscious for 36 hours, waking up to find their families dead. Dr. Sigurdsson's theory was no longer doubted. Further investigation revealed what triggered the eruption. A landslide had plunged massive rocks into Lake Nyos. The impact disturbed the gas-rich bottom layer. The result was so powerful, it triggered a 25-meter-high wave inside the lake, a hidden tsunami. This confirmed the terrifying truth. Limnic eruptions are real and catastrophic. Carbon dioxide continued building up in both lakes. Scientists proposed several solutions, but one stood out as realistic and affordable. They installed degassing pipes, vertical pipes that safely release carbon dioxide from the lake bottoms. Lake Monoun was fully degassed by 2009, Lake Nyos by 2019. The immediate danger was removed, but the story doesn't end here. There is one lake that is far more dangerous than both Monoun and Nyos combined, Lake Kivu, located on the border of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Lake Kivu is massive. It could fit 50 Lake Nyos inside it. It's twice as deep, and it sits on an active volcanic zone. But the biggest threat? Lake Kivu contains not only carbon dioxide, but methane gas. Methane is explosive. If a limnic eruption occurs here, the cloud would be toxic and flammable. Around 2 million people live near Lake Kivu. A disaster here could kill hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. Degassing Lake Kivu is incredibly difficult. The lake is enormous, and the region is politically unstable. Armed conflict makes research dangerous. A company has begun extracting methane to generate electricity, but experts warn the process is slow. It may even trigger an eruption. For now, Lake Kivu remains under constant observation. Lake Monoun showed the world what limnic eruptions are. Lake Nyos showed how deadly they can be, and Lake Kivu represents the greatest risk of all, a silent danger, hidden beneath calm waters, waiting. This is why Lake Kivu is often called the most dangerous lake on Earth. If you found this story informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Global Map Stories, because sometimes the most terrifying threats on our planet are the ones we cannot see. See you in the next story.